When France collapsed in 1940, Britain faced a nightmare. It now stood alone against Hitler's empire. Fighter Command had saved the island, but Bomber Command would become the only way Britain could strike back. And the cost? More than 55,000 bomber aircrew killed, a casualty rate of 44%, one of the highest of any Allied service. These crews flew into the heart of the Reich at night through flak, searchlights, freezing cold, and the lethal German night fighter force, and they kept flying. This is the full evolution of every major British bomber of World War II, from the fragile early war twins to the massive four-engine giants that delivered over 1 million tons of bombs onto Nazi Germany. Let's begin with the aircraft that carried Britain through the darkest days. The early war duo, medium bombers. The Vickers Wellington was the most produced British bomber of the early war, with over 11,000 built. Its unique geodetic basket weave structure allowed it to absorb shocking levels of damage. Some Wellingtons returned home with entire sections of skin missing. When daylight bombing became suicidal, it became the core of the early night campaign. Next, the Armstrong-Whitworth-Whiteley was a large twin-engine bomber notable for its angular, blunt nose and early use in leaflet-dropping raids over Germany. It was one of the first bombers to venture deep into enemy territory at night, but was withdrawn from frontline bombing in 1942. The Handley Page Hampden was nicknamed the Flying Suitcase due to its narrow fuselage. While fast, its small size and heavy losses led to its retirement from Bomber Command by the end of 1942. Then, the Bristol Blenheim was a fast, modern light bomber in 1939. However, its defensive armament was soon found to be inadequate, suffering heavy losses in daylight raids against German shipping and invasion barges, before being moved to night operations. The Fairey Battle was arguably the RAF's biggest early disaster. Overweight and underpowered, it was quickly decimated by German fighters during the Battle of France and withdrawn entirely from the bombing role.
The heavy four-engined giants. The Avro Lancaster was the undisputed star of Bomber Command. Powered by 4 Merlin engines and featuring a cavernous bomb bay, it carried everything from 4,000-pound cookies to 22,000-pound Grand Slams, the largest bombs of the war. It completed over 156,000 sorties and dropped more than half of all RAF bombs on Germany. Its precision enabled legendary missions like the Dambusters raid. Next up is the Handley Page Halifax, the Lancaster's reliable contemporary, serving extensively in bomber, coastal, and transport commands. Though often overshadowed, the Halifax had a reputation for being able to absorb enormous punishment and still return its crew home. It was later adapted into a highly successful transport and glider tug. The Stirling was the RAF's first 4-engine heavy bomber. Large and well-armed, it was held back by a design flaw, a low ceiling of about 16,500 feet, making it dangerously vulnerable to flak. By 1943, it was replaced in main bombing roles, but served on as a transport and glider tug during D-Day and Arnhem. Through Lend-Lease, Bomber Command also operated hundreds of U.S.-built bombers, Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress, Consolidated B-24 Liberator. These aircraft served primarily in coastal and special duties roles, strengthening Britain's long-range capability. The speed of light and special duty bombers. The de Havilland Mosquito, the wooden wonder, was a revolution. The light bomber variant was deliberately unarmed, relying entirely on its superior speed to evade all German fighters until the very late war. It achieved incredible precision in low-level raids and served as the backbone of the Pathfinder force. Next is the Fairey Swordfish, the String Bag, an ancient biplane torpedo bomber. Despite being technologically obsolete, the Swordfish achieved some of the Navy's most crucial early successes, most famously crippling the Italian fleet at Taranto and successfully attacking the Bismarck. Then, the Fairey Albacore was a biplane torpedo bomber designed as the intended replacement for the Swordfish. Though it ended up serving alongside the Stringbag, it represented the Fleet Air Arm's constant search for modernization. The Bristol Beaufort was a successful torpedo bomber and reconnaissance aircraft, used heavily by Coastal Command before it was replaced by the Bristol Beaufighter. Finally, the Fairey Barracuda was a dive or torpedo bomber that replaced the Swordfish and Albacore. It was the Fleet Air Arm's primary torpedo bomber during the massive raids on the German battleship Tirpitz in 1944. The story of British bombers is one of innovation, sacrifice, and relentless determination. From the rugged Wellington to the unstoppable Lancaster, these aircraft formed the backbone of Britain's offensive strategy. Bomber Command dropped more than 1 million tons of bombs, struck at the heart of the Reich, and helped cripple Germany's industrial war machine. And they did it while enduring some of the highest casualties of any Allied force. These aircraft and the men who flew them helped deliver the final victory in Europe's darkest hour. Next time, every British pistol and revolver used in World War II explained.